If a woman pauses before responding, men don't see weakness. They feel control. That silence makes them rethink their words, adjust their tone, and lean in. Because the fastest response isn't power, the pause is. Most people misunderstand the pause. They assume it means uncertainty, weakness, or fear of saying the wrong thing. But the truth is almost the opposite. A pause, when used deliberately, signals emotional control. And emotional control is one of the rarest and most respected traits in any human interaction, especially in moments of tension, disagreement, or attraction. When a woman pauses before responding, she communicates that her emotions do not control her mouth. She controls both. Men are conditioned, often unconsciously, to test emotional stability, not always in obvious ways. Sometimes it's through a teasing remark, a challenging statement, or a sudden shift in tone. In those moments, many people rush to respond because silence feels uncomfortable. Silence feels like losing ground. But a woman who pauses doesn't rush to defend, explain, or correct. She shows that she is grounded enough to let the moment breathe. That alone changes how she is perceived. Emotional control creates safety, not the loud, performative kind, but the deep, quiet kind. A pause tells the other person, I am not overwhelmed by what you just said. It shows regulation, and regulation is power. When someone knows you won't explode, overreact, or scramble for words, they instinctively adjust their behavior around you. Men especially respond to this because it mirrors leadership traits they respect in other men: composure under pressure, restraint, and confidence without noise. The pause also removes predictability. When someone reacts instantly, they become easy to read. Their emotional buttons are visible. A pause hides those buttons. It creates a moment of uncertainty for the other person. They don't know what's coming next, and that uncertainty draws attention. The man starts watching more closely, listening more carefully, because the usual script has been disrupted. Respect often begins there, in the moment someone realizes they cannot control the emotional tempo of the interaction. Many women are taught that quick responses show intelligence, wit, or strength. But intelligence isn't speed. Strength isn't volume. True strength is the ability to stay steady when others expect movement. A pause says, I don't need to prove myself in real time. That message lands deeply, even if it's never consciously analyzed. It suggests self-trust, and self-trust is magnetic. There's also something important happening psychologically. When you pause, you give the other person space to hear themselves. Often, men begin to reconsider their own words in that silence. They replay what they said. They question their tone. They wonder if they crossed a line. That internal reflection wouldn't happen if the woman rushed in with a reaction. The pause shifts the work onto them. And when someone has to self-correct in your presence, respect grows. Emotional control doesn't mean emotional absence. The pause is not about suppressing feelings. It's about choosing when and how to express them. A woman who pauses is not disconnected. She is selective. She allows her emotions to inform her response rather than dictate it. That distinction is critical. Men respect women who can feel deeply without being ruled by those feelings, because it signals maturity and depth. In moments of disagreement, the pause prevents escalation. Many conflicts grow not because of the original issue, but because of how quickly emotions collide. When a woman pauses, she interrupts that collision. She becomes the calm center instead of another wave. This doesn't make her passive. It makes her influential. People follow emotional leaders, not emotional reactors. The pause also reframes value. When someone responds immediately to everything, it can unintentionally signal availability at all times. A pause introduces scarcity, not artificial distance, but natural boundaries. It says my attention is intentional. Men often interpret this as high value because valuable things are not rushed or freely given without consideration. There's a subtle confidence embedded in silence. It suggests that the woman believes her words matter enough to be chosen carefully. She doesn't waste them. She doesn't throw them into the air just to fill space. That restraint communicates self-respect, and self-respect teaches others how to treat you. Pausing before responding also reduces the need for justification. When someone reacts immediately, they often over-explain. Over-explaining is usually rooted in a fear of being misunderstood or rejected. The pause removes that urgency. It shows that the woman trusts her perspective enough to let it stand on its own. Men respect that certainty because it feels solid, not needy. In social settings, the woman who pauses often becomes the one others listen to most closely, not because she talks more, but because when she speaks, it carries weight. The pause acts like a spotlight. It signals that something considered is coming next. People lean in. That effect builds over time, reinforcing the perception of authority and composure. Importantly, the pause protects dignity. It prevents words spoken from a place of irritation, insecurity, or emotional overload. Dignity is maintained not by never feeling triggered, but by choosing not to hand control of your behavior to the trigger. Men respect women who maintain dignity under pressure because it reflects inner strength rather than external performance. The pause also demonstrates self-awareness. It shows that the woman is aware of her internal state and chooses not to act impulsively. Self-awareness is a cornerstone of emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence is deeply attractive and respected. It signals that she can navigate complexity without chaos. When a woman pauses, she sets the pace of the interaction. Pace equals power. The faster person is usually chasing. The slower person is leading. By slowing down, she invites the other person to match her rhythm. And when someone matches your rhythm, they are in a subtle way following your lead. Over time, this pattern changes how men interact with her. They become more thoughtful, more careful, more intentional. Not because they're afraid, but because they recognize her emotional steadiness. They know she won't reward impulsivity with emotional chaos. That recognition creates a quiet form of respect that doesn't need to be demanded or announced. The pause is not a tactic. It's a reflection of inner order. It works best when it's natural, when it comes from a place of self-regulation rather than strategy. Men can sense the difference between silence that is confident and silence that is forced. One commands respect, the other creates confusion. At its core, pausing before responding is about sovereignty over your inner world. It's the decision to let your values, not your emotions, lead your voice. That decision reshapes every interaction. It shifts perception from reactive to grounded, from eager to composed, from uncertain to secure. And once that perception is established, respect follows quietly, steadily, without needing to be chased or explained, because emotional control speaks for itself long before words ever do. Silence is uncomfortable for most people. That discomfort is exactly why it holds power. When a woman chooses silence instead of immediate response, she disrupts the usual flow of interaction. People expect words. They expect clarification, defense, emotion, or reassurance. Silence denies all of that. And when expectations are denied, attention sharpens. Power quietly changes hands. Silence removes the need for explanation. Explanation often places someone in a lower position because it implies the need to justify oneself. When a woman stays silent, she signals that she does not feel obligated to prove, convince, or persuade. That alone elevates her position. Men sense this instinctively. They recognize when someone does not seek approval, and respect tends to follow that recognition. In silence, the other person fills the gap. Humans are wired to resolve uncertainty. When a woman does not respond immediately, the man begins to interpret the moment himself. He wonders what she's thinking. He replays his words. He assesses his behavior. The silence turns the focus inward. Instead of her managing his emotions, he starts managing his own. That shift is subtle, but significant. Silence also breaks emotional momentum. Many interactions are driven by emotional rhythm. One comment leads to another, faster and louder, building intensity. Silence interrupts that momentum. It acts like a pause button. When the rhythm breaks, control shifts to the person who caused the pause. Men often associate this ability to slow things down with authority and composure. There is strength in not reacting. Reaction gives away leverage because it shows what affects you and how quickly. Silence conceals that information. It keeps emotional boundaries intact. When a woman does not immediately reveal her emotional response, she retains control over the narrative. Men respect this because it mirrors strategic thinking and restraint. Silence creates contrast. In a world where everyone is constantly talking, explaining, and reacting, silence stands out. It feels intentional. It suggests that the woman values her words enough not to waste them. When she finally speaks, her words carry more weight because they were not rushed or diluted. Respect grows where words feel measured rather than impulsive. Men are often taught to associate leadership with calm authority. Silence reflects that same trait. It communicates confidence without display. There is no need to dominate the conversation or assert superiority. The calm presence alone establishes position. Men respond to this because it feels familiar, grounded, and trustworthy. Silence also protects self-respect. When emotions run high, words spoken too quickly often lead to regret. Silence allows space for dignity. It prevents emotional leakage. Men notice when a woman maintains her composure even in challenging moments. That composure suggests inner strength, not emotional fragility. There is also an element of mystery in silence. Mystery does not mean manipulation. It means depth that is not immediately accessible. When a woman does not explain herself right away, she communicates that her inner world is not open on demand. Men often respect what they cannot immediately access because it feels valuable rather than available. Silence forces presence. When words stop, people become more aware of tone, body language, and energy. A woman who is silent but grounded projects confidence through posture, eye contact, and stillness. That nonverbal communication often speaks louder than verbal reassurance. Men pick up on this even if they cannot articulate it. In disagreements, silence can de-escalate without surrendering ground. It shows that the woman is not avoiding the issue, but choosing not to fuel it emotionally. This creates a power balance where she is neither submissive nor aggressive. She remains centered. That balance commands respect because it reflects self-mastery. Silence also changes how men approach future interactions. Once they realize that impulsive remarks are met with calm silence rather than immediate engagement, they become more thoughtful. They slow down. They choose their words more carefully. The woman does not ask for this change. Her silence teaches it. When someone is silent, they are not giving away emotional energy for free. Emotional energy is currency. Spending it wisely increases perceived value. Men often associate emotional restraint with high standards. Silence suggests discernment. It implies that not every moment deserves a response. Silence also communicates trust in oneself. It shows that the woman trusts her ability to respond later, more clearly, more effectively. There is no panic, no rush. That calm confidence is deeply grounding for others. Men respect people who seem anchored within themselves. Importantly, silence is not withdrawal. It is presence without performance. The woman is still engaged, still aware, still in control. She simply refuses to be pulled into reactive patterns. That refusal changes the power dynamic because it removes the usual emotional leverage points. Silence can also expose insecurity in others. When someone relies on reactions to feel validated, silence unsettles them. The woman who remains calm does not absorb that insecurity. She reflects it back without saying a word. Men often respond to this by adjusting their behavior, consciously or not. Over time, silence builds a reputation. A woman known for measured responses is taken seriously. People learn that emotional theatrics will not move her. That reputation creates respect long before any specific interaction begins. Silence does not need explanation because its message is felt, not argued. It says, I am steady. It says, I choose when to speak. It says, I am not controlled by this moment. Those messages land beneath logic, beneath language, directly in perception. When silence is rooted in self-respect, it cannot be ignored. It becomes a boundary without words, a signal without sound, a form of strength that does not announce itself. And that kind of strength quietly rearranges power in every room it enters.